Welcome to Honest Whispers Review. On this video, I'll be reviewing DC Comics Q Posket Wonder Woman Special Color Version. Released by Crane King and Banpresto back in March 14th, 2019. This is a pre-painted figure made out of ABS and PVC. And the figure is approximately 5.5 inches tall. And the base itself adds about 1/4 inch. So with it, you're looking at about 5 3/4 inches tall. I'm gonna go over 6 different categories to review this. First category is design, which basically covers the look, the pose, and the concept. And starting right off the bat with the concept, as you can tell, it is chibi style. In other words, big head, small body. But compared to other type of chibi or super deformed style, like Funko, you get a body that's realistically proportioned to itself. While the head and the hair is much bigger and overblown. Now, the pose itself, I really like. It is Wonder Woman, and she is in her iconic fist on her hip pose. But what I kind of like about this, or particularly like about this, is the way she's kind of looking to her left with her eyes. So it does add a bit of a uniqueness to it. And the way her hair is flowing in one direction, that also kind of makes it a consistent looking design as far as just the way you would assume the wind is blowing that way. Now, the base is intricately designed. You can see kind of a leaf pattern all around the base, while you have a nice smooth surface with the Q Posket logo on it. Now, this is actually a brace for the hair, which basically fits right here on this hole and holds up the hair. Only thing is, when I initially put it on, it doesn't, it wasn't even actually touching the hair. Maybe it's just on the tip. So right now it doesn't seem like I need to put that on, and especially for the sake of this review, I'd figured I'd kind of take it off so that it doesn't get in the way of the back. So everything looks good. I do like the design overall. That's why I give the design score a perfect 10 out of 10. Next category is sculpting, which basically covers the details, the quality of the molding, and the execution. And just starting from the top, you really see a lot of nice details on the hair. It's not overdone. At the same time, it's not too simplified. But especially right here in the back, just the way the curls and the way it kind of has that naturally flowing in the air look. Really nicely done. Most of the edges and lines and even the curves are very consistent. As far as any kind of molding issues, at least on the hair part, the only part I see here would be this area, most likely where the cast was put together. I guess, you know, there's probably a reason why it's there, but then my thing would be, if possible, I would have probably put that seam line somewhere else. So in other words, make the two casts, basically the two pieces, kind of come together at a different area where it's less visible. Now, her body definitely has a lot of details as well, especially in her costume area. You could see some wrinkles on her costume right there on her on her corset, and also here on the back of your Star Spangled panties, and then even some realistic looking wrinkles on the boots, back of the boots. And they're very consistent as well. And for something so small, like, you get a lot of nice details, or not just details, but you get a lot of nice consistent lines. Even if it's her earrings and her golden lasso, where you can see kind of the texture of the rope itself in certain areas. Now this is pretty much a perfect sculpt. Now if I had to look really deep into this, just like the seam line here on the hair is basically right here on the edges of her chest plate, and you can see right there on the side, especially the top area or the top corner, it looks a little bit well, I don't want to say chewed up, but you could see like an indented line right there. And then, and of course, let me first point out how this part is more like you see more of a straight line going up and down. At least the way the edge is more flat. Now if you look at the right side, it does look a little bit more curved. And I know there's some slightly, paint issues on this side, which kind of makes it harder to tell what, if it's the molding issue or if it's a paint issue. But looking at it closely, you could see how the edge, you don't get a flat straight line. You could see how it's kind of cut inwards on the top area. And that's very minor because you really have to look at it closely, because from afar kind of looks flawless. So therefore, even though if it's small little minor issues, I give the sculpting score a near perfect 9 out of 10. Next category is colors. Basically covers the accuracy of the coloring, the paint quality, and of course the quality of the paint application. And as you can see, some areas are basically a colored plastic. So the hair wasn't painted, it's just, that's the color of the plastic that it's made out of. But then when you look at the eyes, her costume, her face, it's very nicely painted. Everything looks accurate. It's symmetrical in its place, and you don't see much bordering or colors or lines going over its borders. So, and the way the eyes, the way you have very glossy and shiny parts, some is semi-glossy, and then you have other areas that is like matte finish. For instance, her costume, really nicely painted, very vibrant colors. Of course, this is the special color version. The regular color version, you get more of a navy blue rather than a royal blue. And of course, you could see some imprinting going on, like her stars, which is very accurately placed on overall. Now you do see some, it's really hard to tell if the stars are offset, but to me it feels like the top right star right there is a little bit too much to the right compared to this star right here. And that's just me, the way I see it. It's just slightly off. And I guess if you measure up, if I measure up right here from the middle of her panty line, or basically her butt crack, you can see that the right star is a little bit further away from that median line. And those are things you have to look at closely. Another blemish that I see, or as far as a painting error, is right here on the right side of her armor plate. And you can see some gold bleeding onto her corset. While right here on her left side is very clean and you don't see any bleeding at all. And again, this is something where you would have to look very closely at, because when you look at it from a decent amount of distance, you really can't tell at all. Belt golden lasso, perfectly painted. And again, this would be an example where a lot of the gold parts is semi-glossy. This, her bustier basically is like really shiny and glossy. And her Star Spangled Panties has more of a matte finish, just like her boots here, where you get less of a shine. All the lines are nicely sharp, accurate. You don't see much bleeding. The only thing I noticed here would be the right side of her boot, where I see some very minor squiggly lines. Something, again, you would have to look very closely at, because when I look at the left side of the boot, nice, perfectly straight lines. So compared to other figures or other companies, this is very nicely painted. And therefore, just not quite enough to give it a perfect score, but definitely a near perfect score. A 9 out of 10. Next category is packaging. Basically, it comes in a 4-color box. It does have a nice design, and basically every side has a different picture. It might be a close-up, a medium close-up, or even a long shot. This one here kind of shows you the difference between the special color version and then the regular version. The back has the long shot where you see the full figure itself. Bottom is just kind of blank, but it has the company and then the information of the figure itself, or at least the distributors and stuff. And then of course the top, it does initially look like it's the same picture as the front, but you could see that the angle is slightly different. Front is more of a frontal, or the top is more of a frontal view, while the front is slightly angled to its right. Box is great. I like it. Only thing is it is a very thin type of cardboard, so it's not that sturdy, and I guess that's my only issue with it. And that's why for the packaging, I give it a 9 out of 10. Next category is value. Value pretty much covers the retail price versus quality, retail price versus aftermarket price, and of course even aftermarket price versus quality. Now this definitely does have quality to it. It is retailed at $24.99, which is actually how much I bought it for from Big Bad Toy Store. Now for something that's pretty new, it is already sold out, at least from Big Bad Toy Store. Now, unfortunately for me, I have seen some that's being sold for a slightly cheaper price at around $19.99. For example, Amazon and Entertainment Earth. Now I don't know if they're still available. Most likely they are, but still, it looks like for something like this, it is selling pretty fast compared to other figures where it takes even like close to a year for it to sell out, at least on a specific website or web store. And I know it's still new to say, but then just out of my experience, looking at the quality, the look, I mean, it is very unique to find something like this where it's chibi style at the same time having a realistically proportioned body. So I mean, if you had a head that was proportional to its body, that would actually be pretty awesome as well. Just the way the body is nicely designed and sculpted. And the big head also, it just adds a bit of that cuteness to it. So you're not getting something too serious. At the same time, it's not overly simplified either. So due to its unique design, I definitely feel like the value of this will probably go up eventually once it's sold out everywhere. And that's why I give the value score a pretty high 8 out of 10. Final category is overall and basically covers the 5 prior categories: design, sculpting, colors, packaging, and value. And overall, this is very nice. It's nicely made, it's nicely colored, and it just has, again, that unique look to it where you won't see on many type of figures, whether it be a statue, mini statue, action figure, or even little simplified, like Funko style figures. And that's why I like this a lot. And it is made by Banpresto, who is, I would say, has a good reputation as far as quality goes. Banpresto tends to make a lot of nice Dragon Ball and One Piece figures. And just the way it looks, as I said, the way it's colored, the way it's looked, it really does kind of pop out, even though it's a small figure in size. And that's why I give the overall score a 9 out of 10. So, to recap: design, 10 out of 10. Sculpting, 9 out of 10. Colors, 9 out of 10. Packaging, 9 out of 10. Value, 8 out of 10. And overall, 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Until next time. Continue reading the King James Version Bible and eat your vitamin C's daily.